10 times the glass was not strong enough. Zoos are designed to be places of entertainment and education, where animal lovers may watch a variety of intriguing creatures from a safe distance under supervised settings. We believe, or rather hope, that the glass cages there will keep us safe from animals, bad weather, and unexpected visitors. However, this isn't always the case. When humans get too close to animals, even in zoos, disaster can occur. Today, we'll show you 10 instances where the glass was not strong enough. Stay tuned to the end to be amazed. Number 10. Berlin Zoo Polar Bear. A woman entered the polar bear enclosure at the Berlin Zoo during feeding time on April 13, 2009. The woman was dragged to safety and treated for severe injuries after writhing in the enclosure's moat with a bear biting her back. A video of the event shows a woman in the moat straining to clutch life preservers and ropes thrown by would-be rescuers, while one of the bear's bites her in the rear end repeatedly. The woman was lifted out of the water by rescuers at one point, but she slipped back in and was attacked by the bear again seconds later. The victim was transferred to a local hospital when rescuers were eventually able to remove her out of the bear's moat. What the heck was she thinking? She should thank her lucky stars that she managed to get out of there alive. Perhaps they were recently fed and they preferred to play with her because, let me tell you, that polar bear would have made her history in a single second if they were hungry. The woman jumped the fence into the area for unknown reasons, but the police issued her a trespassing penalty. So if you thought that was crazy, then boy do we have more madness lined up for you. Let's skip from one mauling to another. Number 9. Singapore Zoo 2008 White Tigers. 3 white Bengal tigers attacked a zoo janitor to death in 2008 after the janitor stepped into a moat around their enclosure. A zoo visitor captured amateur video of the man wading carefully over the moat with a broom and a plastic yellow bucket towards the tiger's habitat. As a tiger claws his chest and bites his throat, he doesn't struggle with his arms extended wide. A second tiger joins the first in petting the man, who appears to be shouting at this time. When the tigers attack, he covers his head with the bucket. People can be heard shouting for the man to get in the water in the footage. The tigers simply continue their onslaught. Norden bin Mundong, a 32-year-old Malaysian, was identified as the man by a zoo officer. The tigers were eventually distracted and Norden was hauled away, but he passed on the way to the hospital according to officials. Norden jumped into the tiger's territory for unknown reasons, according to officials. Sadly, this appears to be a common occurrence. People get presents, candy, and even vacations on Christmas, but no one expects to come out bloodied and injured. But I guess a present is a present, yes? Especially if it is around Christmas. Number 8. San Francisco Zoo 2007 Tiger. Tatiana, a 350-pound Siberian tiger, escaped her cage on Christmas Day in 2007. She then proceeded to harm 3 people, with one of them not ending up as lucky as the others. The unlucky individual was a 17-year-old, Carlos Souza Jr. The wounds of the other 2 were treated with surgery. The tiger's escape remained a mystery to authorities, but it was evident that the animal had gotten beyond a 20-foot wall and a 15-foot moat. Authorities were initially concerned that 4 of the zoo's 5 tigers had fled. They then discovered Tatiana was the only one who'd escaped. The tiger had been roaming free at the zoo, which is open 365 days a year, for an unknown amount of time. According to the Associated Press, between 20 and 25 people were there at the time of the attacks. When zoo officials learned of the attacks, they ordered employees and visitors to seek shelter. Police arrived and discovered Tatiana seated outside the zoo's cafe with one of the surviving victims. Unfortunately, she was a threat and officers opened fire on the tiger. And that was the second incident involving Tatiana. Earlier, during a routine public feeding on December 22, 2006, the tiger assaulted a zookeeper. It had reached between the bars of its cage, grabbing the zookeeper and injuring the flesh on their arm. That's not a tiger you want to mess with. Number 7. Copenhagen Zoo 2012 Siberian Tiger. In 2012, a 21-year-old man was killed at the Copenhagen Zoo in Denmark after entering the Siberian tiger den. The Afghan-born Danish citizen entered the den and was bitten on the throat, face, chest, and thigh. They had no idea how or why he'd entered the den, and it's possible he did it willingly, knowing the obvious eventual outcome. Because he was in the water, the animals must have noticed him and attacked him. Unfortunately, he drowned in the water. He didn't even get a chance to make it out. It was the zoo's first such case in its 152-year record, and the tigers weren't to be killed as a result of the incident. This is usually the standard procedure in such incidents. We all make mistakes. Those that we're willing to admit to is what makes us the bigger person. I mean, it doesn't take back what we've done, but it's nice to admit that we've blundered. Number 6. Anchorage, Alaska Zoo, 1994, Polar Bear. Catherine Warburton, a 29-year-old Australian tourist, climbed a fence and railing at the Anchorage Zoo in July 1994 to capture close-up photos of Binky, a polar bear. With a shattered leg and bite wounds, Warburton made it through the onslaught. Binky held onto Warburton's shoe for 3 days before zoo personnel could take it away. Warburton afterwards blamed herself, admitting it was the dumbest thing she'd ever done. Points for self-awareness. Number 5. Gorilla breaks glass at Aquarium. A gorilla film from Omaha's Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium went viral, with 3 gorillas ranging in the ages of 17 to 22 fighting to establish dominance in the same environment. Zoo curator Dan Cassidy predicts testosterone and hostility as the gorillas mature. The reflection of a little girl thumping on her chest as she looks at the male gorillas can be seen in the footage. Kajito, one of the gorillas, charges the glass and shatters the first of 3 levels of protective glass. The zoo said this isn't the first time they've seen something like this. The glass frequently breaks due to environmental or engineering factors. Gorillas also pound on the glass to create sounds that frighten their other gorillas, but I don't think them saying that is as comforting as they think it is. While the gorilla did burst through a layer of glass, curators claim the zoo checks and replaces the glass on a regular basis. As they approach manhood, the 3 gorillas in the display are transforming from blackbacks to silverbacks. They say if you keep an animal in a cage long enough, they evolve and learn how to escape. Okay, in reality, nobody says that, I just made it up. But this next video is plenty of proof that I might be right. Number 4. Monkey versus glass. A zoo in central China has a capuchin monkey that is a touch too smart for its own good. The Zhengzhou Zoo in Henan Province published a video showing the animal shattering the glass barrier of its enclosure with a rock. The monkey began holding the stone before striking it against the glass. When the glass cracked, the monkey was as surprised as the rest of us. It jumped and bolted, only to return for a second look. Employees recognized the capuchin because, unlike other monkeys at the zoo, it's intelligent enough to utilize tools, according to a zoo worker. This one understands how to shatter walnuts with tools. The other monkeys only know how to bite walnuts when they're handed them. Even if it was clever, it had never hit the glass before. This was the first time it had done something like this. The reinforced glass wall did not fall after it cracked in place, and the animal still was in their enclosure, minus the boulders that were in its habitat before the incident and were removed afterwards. Number 3. London Zoo gorilla Kumbuka. At least twice, this silverback gorilla that escaped from its cage at the London Zoo has smashed this attraction's glass panes. Recently, visitors were held in tea rooms and gift shops for about an hour, and armed police went to the zoo after Kumbuka, a dominant male gorilla, broke out of his enclosure and into a secure keeper's section before being tranquilized by vets and returned to his den. The zoo in London called it a small incident, stressing that the 400-pound animal had categorically not damaged any glass during its escape. Yeah, why don't you lie right in front of people's faces? The gorilla, who had previously been described as a little bit on the destructive side by the zoo, is said to have shattered windows in the enormous cage twice on record. Keepers were unable to determine whether he'd launched a missile or himself at the glass in that instance, but they did determine that Kumbuka was responsible for the damage based on a footprint on the window. This guy is on a mission and he intends to complete it. This feels like a scene from Planet of the Apes or something. Gorillas enjoy demonstrating their dominance, and this just feels like the most obvious way to do it. After a door was left open, the gorilla was able to gain access to the keeper's area, a double-height, caged-off portion running down one side of the enclosure. And with that, it's now time for today's best pick. Today's photo was sent to us by a subscriber, so if you come across a photo online and you want to know more details about it, just send it over to us. We might even feature it in our future videos. Number 2. Fish tank explosion. After a big fish tank ruptured, guests at a coffee shop were flooded by hundreds of gallons of water. The aquarium, which was custom built for the cafe by a Serbian company, was devoid of fish. The aquarium was just 2 days old when it was discovered to have a glass flaw. The cafe had to pay between $7,000 to $8,000 in repairs as a result of the event. This next guy clearly hasn't seen the movie Jaws. Otherwise, he'd have known that sharks, regardless of a cage or not, are nothing to be messed with. Well, hopefully after this he learned his lesson. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it, it really works. Number 1. Shark attack. We see notices warning us to keep our distance in most museums, aquariums, and zoos, but people still go ahead and touch the items or disturb the animals inside the enclosure without giving a hoot about the notice. Animals are frequently put down because a child or a man stumbled into the enclosure, causing the animal to feel intimidated and attack. However, we overlook the fact that these animals are kept in captivity, and that their enhanced senses of hearing and smell may cause them to become disturbed and uncomfortable in the presence of so many visitors and tourists. When a guy called Gregory Heinzman was almost attacked by a shark at the International Spy Museum in Washington, D.C., he learned this at his own risk. The shark charged at him and managed to break the enclosure's glass. His stunned and shocked expression was captured in a video that was uploaded on Facebook and went viral almost instantaneously because of his humorous reaction. The International Spy Museum shark display in Washington, D.C. is well known for a troll, in which a fake shark appears to charge at the aquarium glass at tremendous speed and manages to fracture it upon contact. If someone touches the aquarium glass, the troll will appear. Many visitors and tourists have been made fools by the troll, but Gregory Heinzman's funny reaction will convince everyone that the shark is real.